Hey, welcome to the download. What'll it be? Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to the Lowdown at the Down Low, where we get a bit more familiar with the cast and crew of the audio series Heroes of Extinction. I'm your host, Jason Braden, and today on our show, I am proud to introduce the very talented and animated Kenny James. Welcome, Kenny.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Very welcome. I really appreciate you taking the time out to be with us today. How you doing?
I'm doing great, except for the drought in North Texas, but we got some rain not too long ago, so things have moistened up a bit, and I had to mow the grass.
Well, well, I guess that's kind of a plus, but as long as you're not getting flooded, because I have heard of other issues like that out there.
It was just south of us. Fort Worth and Dallas got like hammered. And when there's a drought, the ground gets really dry. And if it rains a lot, it can't soak in fast enough. So flash floods.
Yep.
But where I live, we just got soaked.
Now, I'm glad to hear that was the result and not the flash flood part.
Yeah.
I'm in California. We're in a drought up here too, and they anticipate the same things. They said we could be in for some kind of super flood thing. They call it an arc flood, is what they call it, I think. So let's just hope that doesn't happen for either one of us. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the show that you and I are a part of. For those who have listened before, this is, we've interviewed many people, and you play a particular character in the series Heroes of Extinction. Can you tell me a little bit about your character?
My character, Jason Jensen, he's a superhero, but he's kind of in hiding. And I don't know if it's so much as hiding as it is being incognito, part of a sting that was supposed to go on, but he gets discovered. And I don't want to give too many spoilers away or anything, but there is a villain that gets to him while he's kind of on holiday with his wife and child. So
now Janessa, obviously being kind of like one of the main characters of the show, who mostly through the show you hear her as, she's grown up, she's like a young adult, and she's learning about her powers. But you play her father in sort of like a flashback, I think, right? And it takes place when she's just a child.
Yeah, she's very little. And I mean, actually, in some of the lines, I'm all like, don't look, over here, while I'm being attacked by, and I don't even know if I should say who it was,
No, we'll play a clip of that later, and we'll let it speak for itself. But yeah.
So I'm in protective mode. I've got my wife and my little daughter, it's amazing that it wound up being Mary Gibbs, who I'm friends with.
Yeah.
It's if it wasn't for Andrew's direction, I would have just done it kind of blah, 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 blah. But the direction was really good. And I think I pulled off a bunch of good lines.
I've heard the clip before, and I would have never guessed in a million years it was you. It's really, really well done. It's a family scene.
Well, and I mean, most people know me from, being Bowser,
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that. So
sure.
That is your claim to fame, really. You are the voice of Bowser from the Mario world.
Yeah, I've been the voice of Bowser for about 18 years.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's
right. That sounds like Bowser.
When I speak as a human, people go, who, what?
Right. How did you find yourself in the role in the series Heroes of Extinction?
I've been off and on. I mean, I'm a lazy voice actor. I don't usually have an agent, but any of that stuff. But see Andrew Nelson, we sat next to each other in Sacramento for I think it's Sacramento Game Expo one year. It's several years ago. So we were chit-chatting and stuff, and I was like, holy crap, you're Vader, and he's all like, what, you're Bowser? And I was like, what? And then next thing I know, I get an email from him saying that, hey, we've got this audio series, and I thought you might, want to do this part. And I was like, yeah, sure, be great. And I sent them an audio file of the script lines, just did them on my own in my booth, no direction. And then they scheduled a session and we recorded it while Andrew was directing me. So, because he has been the director of this thing. So
yes, and a very amazing director too. He's done some great work in this show.
And last few times I've saw him, he's like, my wife still refers to you as her other husband. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Well, I think it's funny though. He is obviously taken, but his wife also has a role in our show as well. Mm-hmm. And why don't you go ahead and tell us what role she plays?
Well,
it's significant to you.
She plays Jason Jensen's wife.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't know that until I think the next Comic-Con that I was at at the same time with him. And he was all like, well, that my wife played your wife in the show. I was like, wait, what?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny how that stuff kind of comes around full circle, but that's how it happens. We've been just casting people just left and right, and just some amazing talent, whether it's somebody who's been in the business for 18 years, or even if it's somebody like me who has only been doing it for a couple of years now. Well, so this has been
a couple of years,
a lot of fun.
Nothing.
No, I feel like it does.
The thing is that, if you can put out some quality product, then 2 years is as good as 20 years.
Oh, it's nice to hear you say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's voice acting is way more difficult than people give credit. They're like, oh, on-screen actors, they have to do all this stuff. And it's all like, yeah, but we have to do it in a booth. Yep. It's not as easy because you don't have a set. You have to make believe everything. So no, good for you.
Yeah. And with the what I'll call pandemic voice acting world, we often don't really work with other people face to face. We have to just record our own stuff based off of a script that's in front of us. So we have to pretend with these emotions and what other people are saying and how they're saying it, and we have to react in the same way. It's not easy.
I don't even, and a lot of times, with this remote stuff, you don't hear the other person's lines. So hopefully the director will, get you in there.
Yep.
I do anime a lot now. So it's so bizarre.
What makes it so bizarre?
Well, I describe it now. I've been in the Dallas area for about 3 years, and I've been contracted at Funimation / Crunchyroll for that whole time, pretty much. And I still describe it as the Forrest Gump box of chocolates of voice acting.
Oh, okay.
Because you never know what you're gonna get.
That's right.
You walk into an anime session and you don't know what you're going to get. So it's a lot of fun, and I wouldn't stop doing it even if I had to.
So in anime, and what's funny is that I just finished watching an episode of Rick and Morty where they have the it's like they do sort of like a Voltron spinoff with, with the weasels.
The weasels.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And
blue
then they have
weasel.
Yes, the blue weasel, where he finds it and he goes crazy and he has to find all the other blue weasels from like all the other dimensions. It's a crazy episode, just like all of them. But at the end, there are some anime characters that try to take back the weasels because it's theirs,
oh.
right? So
oh.
So that's what I'm leading to is like in anime, do you find yourself having to do crazy expressions like that? And
you know what? Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but
that's
yes,
okay.
It's what they, their emotes. And in the script, it'll be like CT disgust or something. That means clenched teeth.
Okay.
And you're supposed to go like, or it's closed mouth, CM. So then you're like,
okay.
And I just swear to you, my nemesis are these reactions, is what they call them. They're reactions. And I mean, you can listen to they always play you the Japanese version first. And then it's like, okay, I got to do my own thing on that. And so you just sort of, So
you kind of have to emote the same feelings that they're doing in the Japanese. You have to kind of translate the emotion.
Sure.
And
it's a tightrope, because we're doing an English version in the dubs. So you have to kind of listen to the Japanese and hope that you can kind of get the same pace and attitude. And a lot of times it doesn't matter if it's the same voice, or even like if the Japanese guy is going, I don't necessarily have to go, I'm saying this right now, but they want it to be close,
Okay.
Because it's like an homage, to the original cartoon.
Right.
Which came out of Japan, so yeah, anime is it's kooky and I love it. I absolutely love it.
I used to watch a lot of it. I just it was mostly movies, but I don't know. Can you consider Robotech anime back in the day?
Sure. Oh, sure.
Loved Robotech.
I mean, when I was a little kid, one of my favorite things was Speed Racer, and I had no idea that was anime.
Right.
It was anime.
And see, I don't think I was the same way about Robotech. I really had no clue. To me, it was just a cartoon. Right. But with transforming flying ships and motorcycles that people wore as armor, it was mind blowing to me.
Even when I was in my 20s in the Navy, I was recording and watching Star Blazers. The original Star Blazers.
That sounds familiar.
But anyway, yeah, we're not going to go into that. It would take days.
Maybe that's a conversation we can have on another interview. So let's go back a little bit, because you said that when you were asked to do a role in Heroes of Extinction, you sent an audio clip for your role as Janessa's dad. And forgive me for not remembering the name.
Jason.
Jason Jensen. Okay. I should remember that. Jason, it's my own name.
I know. Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. So, all right, let me compose myself here. When they got the clip, were they an instant, yep, that's what we're looking for, that's the voice? Or did you get direction on how to do it a little bit more mature or older, younger? What was the goal in setting up that character?
Well, what I did was they sent me the script and I got into my little booth and I read the lines probably several times. And I did a really poor edit, as I remember. Some of the lines, the volume was way off from the other ones. It went up and down. But I also I said that this was a quick edit. But I don't think that I was never not going to do the part. Andrew was all like, yeah, I sent him in for this. And then Jerry was all like, oh, hey, Andrew says you might be good for this. And so I just recorded some lines for them real quick. And then, like I said, poorly edited them and then sent them. And then we set up a session and I wound up recording in my booth. But what I did was I had Andrew directing and I was recording it myself and then just sent them the bulk file, which was, it was enormous by the time we were done, but you can do that with WeTransfer and all that stuff. And when we were done, I mean, yeah, Andrew didn't just let me slide. He beat me up a bit. He was like, could you give me a little more of this? And how directors, a little more of this, a little more of that. Do it again, but better,
That sounds like a director. Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun to record, even though I knew, that the outcome of the character was not going to be great. Spoiler, whether you want to, whether Jerry cuts that out or not.
He may. But we're going to be introducing that same clip, and he may actually do the whole thing. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think it was a great episode. I hope that the emotion that I put forth in that character, I hope it comes through. I really, really do, because I enjoyed doing it a lot. I like Jerry. I don't think I've met him in person, but but Andrew, yeah, I've met him a bazillion. I was just at a Comic-Con a few weeks ago, and somebody comes up to me with a cell phone and goes, "Here." And I'm like, "What?" And I look at, and it says, "See Andrew Nelson" on the phone. And I went, "What do you want?" And he was like, "Oh, I saw that you were there." And, so
on somebody else's phone.
Yeah, awesome. It was really bizarre, but it's also really cool. Yeah. When you think about it, it's like one of the Darth Vaders / other, Star Wars attributors is like wanting to talk to you on the phone. I'm like, what?
Well, there's been a lot of people that they've met over the, I would say, years, because we've been, waiting a couple of years to get this finally produced, and just some great people that they've met probably the same way as you, that, they've just said, "Hey, we've got this show. Would you be interested?" And people are listening to it or watching this or reading the script, and they're just on board almost instantaneously. It's encouraging to see how excited people are.
Yeah, sure. The same thing happened with me when they approached me. They were like, "Well, here's the first 2 episodes." And I don't even know if they were fully produced yet, but I listened to them and I was like, "Oh, okay. This is very kind of comic book audio, And I was like, "No, yeah, I should do this. That'll be great." So I was happy to do an episode. I was super jazzed.
So let me ask you, now you said you've been doing this for 18 years. Is this your only career? Or do you have another job outside of voice acting? I know a lot of us do the same thing.
When I got cast as Bowser, I really didn't think that it was going to amount to anything, even though obviously Bowser was already a thing. But because I went, well, all I get is a recording session fee, I was like, all right, I'm not going to make any money on this, Then I discovered conventions and I was like, okay, I can do that. What I did was I was like, all right, I'm going to quit my job and go full-time voiceover. It didn't work out great, but then I discovered conventions. So I make most of my living from conventions.
Okay, that's fair.
Well, even though now I have my contract with Crunchyroll, and that's been working out good.
You're a character in your own world at Universal now.
I know. And I just got this thing in the emails that there's this giant Bowser, this like 2,800 and something Lego pieces.
Oh, I love Legos.
And he's articulatable. You can move his arms and his mouth and all that stuff. I think it's nearly 3,000 pieces.
Wow.
I saw it on the interwebs. So
yeah, So it's out there. And I know that Lego is very big on Mario because they've got the little things where you can actually make the characters, and they've got audio that makes it bounce on things.
The only thing that it's like the big Bowser thing is it's like 200 and some bucks.
That's the one drawback.
So I'm like, all right, I'm probably not going to see a lot of those, at cons for autographs, but that's fine.
But you might be signing a few here and there.
Yeah.
At least there's that.
There's always that.
There's always that. So let's go ahead and talk about your clip. We did kind of already sort of set it up earlier, and we're going to go ahead and play it here in a few minutes. So you play Jason Jensen, now that I've got it nailed down, and you and your family with little Janessa and your wife are out on the beach, and some stuff starts going down. And we know that there's a little bit of action in this, even though it seems very calm and peaceful.
It becomes not so calm.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. And even from what I have heard before, the girl that's casted to play young Janessa, she does an amazing job in this.
It's a pretty intense scene. So
yep, we'll go ahead and just cue it up here and let people decide for themselves. Let's go ahead and roll the clip.
Jason glances over and smiles as Janessa holds up the sea creature in her tiny hand.
Come on, enough of this gloom and doom. Better not keep her waiting.
That's right. You better keep an eye on your daughter, Mr. Jensen. Or shall I say, Earth Mover.
Caroline gasps as the Fire Reaper looms on a nearby boulder. She whips her head around and spots Janessa playing with the starfish, unaware of their new visitor.
How do you know my identity? The council hasn't released it yet. It was supposed to be the lure.
Oh my, don't you know by now? Being the head of the division and all, I just assumed you'd have known that the initiative has their hands in everything. Both sides included.
Caroline tries to stand, but the Fire Reaper shoots a blast of energy just in front of her.
I don't think so.
They have nothing to do with this. This is between me and the initiative. They're human, Reaper. Just let them go.
Now see, that's where you're wrong. I mean, wife here is a lowly human, but that little girl over there, the initiative has reason to believe that little one is of value.
You'll never touch her, you freak.
The Fire Reaper narrows his eyes and focuses his energy on Caroline. Summoning up a scorching ball of heat, he throws it in her direction. Caroline screams, but the blast never hits her. Jason is turned into Earth Mover and deflects the fireball with his own Earth energy out into the ocean where it fizzles into steam.
You'll have to do better than that, Fire Reaper.
Daddy! Mommy!
Janessa comes running towards her parents, oblivious to the danger.
Did you see the steam, Daddy? It was out in the water. A big poof.
Stay away, baby! Do not come over here!
Okay, so yeah, that was an intense clip. Now, I've heard that before. We've been to a couple of conventions and we played that in front of audiences, and it's a little scary because, you've got a family involved that's in danger and a superhero who doesn't really want to be a superhero anymore and has to use his powers to defend his family. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it actually was really intense for me as well. Andrew, when he was directing me, I felt that the way I read the script, I was all like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm cardboard guy. And Andrew, I know, right? But Andrew brought more out of me. So yeah, the last time I talked to him, I was all like, yeah, thanks for the great direction, because it's an intense episode. I just don't want to, I'm just at this point going, I don't want to drop any more spoilers.
Yeah, but you did fantastic. I mean, you made it believable. And I mean, you're a family guy yourself, right? I mean, you've got a wife and you've got some kids. Is that right?
Yeah, I have one biological child and his name is Corey and he lives in Denver. And then I have 2 stepkids in Washington State, Ashley and Caleb, and they're all doing well. Whether they've heard this or not, probably not. I mean, they're just used to me being me. So
yeah,
they're kind of like, we do our own thing.
So have you been asked about any other projects? Because I know there's a lot coming up right now. There's a lot of stories in the works.
Yeah.
I know some stuff that's coming up in the near future that we're casting for. Have you been approached for any additional roles?
Yeah, sure. I just took part in the company picnic.
The company picnic,
Zoom.
yes.
The company picnic Zoom. At that point, too, I also found out that Laura Faye Smith, also a Nintendo character, I didn't even know that she was involved in this. And she was part of that thing. And I was like, holy cow, what are you doing here?
There's a lot of players involved.
Yeah. And I know Mary Gibbs. They were like, we have so much more stuff coming down, that's being written. And I absolutely look forward to doing anything that they would think that I would fit into. It's all about casting, So
it's a lot about casting, and it's about the writers as well. We've got some amazing writers on board. It's not just the ones from Heroes of Extinction, but we've got a show called Extinguished Worlds coming up. I think that's about as far as I can take it, but there's other great writers doing a lot of different stories, and they are
the writing power, that's going on in this thing of Adventurous Ideas. It's amazing.
All right, so we're getting close to the end of our hour here, and I just wanted to ask if there's anything that you wanted to promote for yourself, any social media that you're on that you want to share with everybody since they're listening, any other projects you have coming up outside of Heroes of Extinction?
Yeah, I mean, besides any other games that are coming out for the Mario franchise, which seems, it's pretty constant. I am contracted at Crunchyroll. I have done... I did an amazing episode of Attack on Titan where I played a very pivotal kind of character. There are so many shows that I've done in anime already that I can't even name them. It's just, Cautious Hero, a certain scientific railgun. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I'm super happy to be doing it. ADR wasn't something that I planned for, but it's an amazingly cool challenge because you get the Japanese audio and video, and then you have to read the script in English that, whatever they wrote in English. We have writers, and it's an incredible amount of fun. So look for me in anime and at conventions. I like to go out there and meet the fans. And if this is something I can add to my thing, then so be it.
And so do you have your own website or anything that you want to share? Like, are you on Twitter or Instagram?
Yeah, my Instagram is Kenny James Bowser. And I mean, spelled all the way out.
Gotcha.
On Twitter, they limit the characters too much, but it's Kenny James Bowser, but without the E at the end. So
BOWSR.
BOWSR. Yes.
Got it. All right.
And then, on Facebook, it's Kenny James.
All right. Well, if anybody's interested in following Kenny, those are the locations to do it. I really want to thank you again today for joining us on this show. It's been very enlightening. You are super funny. I gotta say, you and I could probably have a huge discussion about 80s pop culture and cartoons until the sun
I know
comes
we
up.
could.
Yeah, and we might need to do that someday. But in the meantime, thanks again for taking the time out of your day to talk with me, and to all the fans for Heroes of Extinction. It's been a great pleasure.
It's absolute my pleasure, because
thank you.
This series is great and it needs to be heard.
Definitely. And anything that you can do, or I can do, or anybody can do who's listening to this to promote it, please do. Get the word out there. It's a fantastic show. People are going to they're going to kerplots. If I'm going to use a word, they're going to kerplots. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. So thanks again for tuning in, friends. Here's hoping you'll join us again soon for another one at the Down Low. Cheers.
Cheers.
All great stories begin with adventurous ideas.